New Zealand guy.
But the fact is, the 14 words has been completely kind of, they're trying to use it as a, type 14
a rallying call kind of thing.
Yeah, we're in a club kind of thing.
This is the thing. So for me personally, like, again, I've got to I don't have to reiterate it, but I'm just chatting away really. But I genuinely believe in freedom of expression as well as freedom of speech. So if people want to, I don't know, have a little motto that says only one-legged lesbians may enter the anybody who doesn't identify as a, it's up to them, because in my mind at least, it encourages, or not encourages, but it enables the possibility of people pointing at them and laughing and just going, "Are you joking?" And everyone else hearing and thinking, "Oh, actually, that is quite stupid." Like, so obviously, if it was like a government position, which it never will be, please God. But so for a small or medium-sized or even large group of people to want to rally behind something that's so obviously exclusionary, to me, I don't know the statement properly, but I just on principle, I don't think there's anything about white race or what there is.
There's nothing wrong with there's nothing wrong with the words. The words are great. You can't fault. It's just the fact that it's become so tainted, and it's used and it's used in conjunction with Zekiles. And
that's the thing with Nietzsche. He was very like, I saw a Ricky Gervais skit actually, and he was playing both parts, and he was playing Hitler when Nietzsche came around, and Nietzsche was like, "Oh, he's like, oh, just murdering some Jews." And he's like, "What?" You said the will to power and the something, and kill all the Jews. And he was like, "No, sorry, what?" Well,
that's the thing. We've gone so far now. It's to me, it literally they're trying to emulate Nick Fuentes, and they're trying to emulate the kind of Turning Point USA thing. The Charlie Kirk. Those people stood up and said, "How does anal sex help America?" And Nick Fuentes got banned, and they're like a second-rate version over here, so they're kind of picking up on the same themes.
We've
expanded from kind of Islam, which you can, it's not a racial thing, and someone like me can certainly pick holes in it, being a homo, and I get more kind of, justifiable kind of gripes.
But with somebody who fundamentally disagrees with your existence, kind of thing.
Yeah. But now we seem to have expanded to the blacks and the gays and the Jews, especially the Jews. What I did the other night was record all the comments on the groyping, as they call it.
What is that? I don't know what that is either.
Trolling, it's just like we're further right than the conservatives. Conservatives are cuck-servatives, and we're much further right, and we've shifted to Everton window.
Wow, I miss so much.
This is what's kind of been going on. It's just dodgy. Phase 3 involves the disabled.
I think often it's a reaction against, especially since maybe the 60s, like civil rights. Obviously, we've all got, not all, but as Britain, we've got the post-colonial kind of guilt syndrome. We're not supposed to be proud of our own flag or country, but we're supposed to celebrate every other culture.
I agree with all this, and that's what's caused this backlash. And
then it's about victimhood status. So when I was younger, it was basically if you were like from an ethnic minority, or if you were disabled, or if you were you had a different sexuality to, like, in inverted commas, the norm. If you were, like, if you just wanted to have short hair and you were a girl, there was just a load of little, but basically you could call victim, and it was very powerful. So if somebody in school was to say legitimately, before it became cliche, "Is it because I'm black?" it would just kill the conversation, because people would be like, "Oh no, is it?" Like, they'd start questioning themselves, like, "Oh, actually, am I a secret?" Like, so
and legitimately, everybody does that. I mean,
I don't believe it's a phobia either. That this thing of labeling everything as irrational, like, I don't want to have. I'm not homosexual, and therefore I don't want homosexual advances or sex.
Of course not. Yeah,
it's basics, really.
That's the thing. everyone assumes though that I don't know. Everyone's obsessed with it.
This gender stuff.
They sexualize things more than I do.
It's exactly. But for my 2 pence, for what it's worth, so sexuality is a thing that's been around forever. Bisexuality, homosexuality, heterosexuality, that's done and dusted. That's in the bag. We're all aware of it. No one needs to go on about it. Just get on with what you're getting on with. Don't broadcast it if you don't want to.
Yeah, exactly.
Just crack on. The thing with the gender fluid, neutral. For me personally, it's clearly psychological because it's got nothing literally removed from biology. So I can say that on one day I'm fluid, another day, oh no, I'm neutral now. I'm neither gender. And the thing with transgenderism is that it still recognizes gender because it's a woman wanting to be a man. She's not wanting to be a zebra. She's wanting to be the opposite.
Dear God,
when it was just binary.
I could show you. I wish I could show you a picture. Someone sent me this picture on Twitter of like, okay, then does this woman belong in a woman's prison? Because someone was saying biological.
That's the problem.
There are only biological sexes. There are only 2 sexes, and the picture that she posted was of this fucking like buff, like tattooed dude with like a beard. I was like, Jesus, I'd almost do him. That bloke does not belong in a woman's prison. So at a certain point, and you're saying like, well,
we had the case of a rapist who then identified as female, and lo and behold, like it's like the globes, he was put into a female prison, and you're never going to guess what he did.
Yeah, I am.
I know, you couldn't make it up because it's like, really? If it was a fiction book, you'd be like, well, that was obvious. Like,
I was waiting for that.
Exactly. So there's no point within that whole chain of events where someone couldn't have stood up and screamed, he's got no clothes on, as in the emperor. Like, what are you all doing? Have you lost your mind? But so it's the victim culture. Rather than be seen as an oppressor of somebody else's freedom of expression, like you're willing to allow women who are captive literally cannot escape this guy. And because there was a case, I mean, very isolated cases, like that's a given, but there was a guy in America, a paedophile, who then identified as a 7-year-old boy to try to evade the consequences because he'd abused like under 10-year-olds. So and what's to stop me identifying as a 65-year-old and claiming my pension? Like, what's to stop me saying that I have a phobia of idiots and I couldn't possibly leave the house unless I'm accompanied by like a
entourage of not idiots.
A comfort dog. A service, an emotional support animal. Like, there are some things that common sense should be able to deal with, and unfortunately I think I don't know. I think it's this thing of the internet potentially whereby you can just call someone that you can bully people, whereas if you were in person you'd have to take into account the size of them, their stance, their demeanor, whether or not you thought you could get away with it if you've got that kind of nature.
On one level it's good because you've got that layer of removal that means you can actually get your point across without being kind of intimidated by rules. But on the other hand, it's really fucking unhealthy. Some of the places everyone just wants to get on and call everyone F and N words and scream, and
there's
not
no
really
nuance. You can't hear the tone of voice. You don't know whether their literacy levels are such. Because I got a message the other day in a group chat and I completely misread it because there was no comma. So I read it as it was spoken, but actually it meant the complete opposite. And for a couple of minutes, I was like, what are you talking? No, actually.
A comma can actually totally reverse the sentence.
Literally changed the entire meaning. And it wasn't until I read back again, I was like, oh, okay. And this thing of like, I quite like languages. Like I appreciate other languages because they're other languages. Like English because it's not American, because it's not French. It's our own language. And I don't mind so much, kids have their own little road speak or
you speak
or whatever it is.
Now it, fam.
It does a brilliant impression, even though she is a teenager. I'm like, wow, I didn't understand. I got 3 words out of that, but I think it should be celebrated rather than reduced to like 120 characters and like emojis or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, but then I'm just an old
Maybe we're going back towards hieroglyphics again.
What, do you know what? They got their point across, didn't they? Bless them.
Yeah.
No one knows at the moment what they were talking about unless you're a very niche linguist.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're quite pretty to look at. So I'll give them that. And
I want to go and see the exhibition.
They made a mean pyramid, didn't they? So
the touch stuff is over at the British Museum, isn't it? I keep forgetting. I saw a poster today and thought, touch stuff. Should go and see
I went there not long ago. They've got some brilliant stuff, but they're just so overly populated with shops. I was like, where have all
exit through the gift shop?
Around, it's just like an airport. It's just shop after shop after shop, and it's so overly. Not that you have to do it, but
I haven't been there for such a while. Actually, it's been a while.
They've done the roof. It's very impressive as you walk in. It's just that to find the actual exhibits, it's like a bit of a mission. But I mean, once you're in, you're kind of locked into it. It's interesting, but very consumery, like very touristy driven. And also now they want the marbles. Greece wants its Elgin marbles back. And for years, do you know, I thought it was marbles. I literally thought it was those glass. I swear. Like when I was a kid, I just thought, well, why don't they just get some more marbles? Like, what are they talking about? I lose mine every playtime. Like I didn't. But now, obviously, I'm aware. But I just think, well, it's been years. What? It was only once they became economically disadvantaged that, I mean, maybe they need them back, but you can't then claim. Yeah, I don't know. I quite like.
UK refuses to include Elgin marbles in Brexit trade talks.
Why the hell, after the EU has treated Greece, it's now got the cheek to start being its massive representative, and oh no, poor little Greece, like we must defend their rights to their property, but at the same time you didn't mind crashing their economy and watching them starve.
Yeah.
Like, make your mind up. Do you like togas or not? I don't know.
Good evening, guys.
That was the Roman.
Hello. Yeah. Who's this? Is this Faz?
Yes. How are you?
Hello.
Hello.
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Big up, Dan. What is he?
I think he's gone. He got locked out the other day. I know that. So maybe he's in the garden somewhere.
Oh, okay. How are you guys anyway? I just thought I'd go and say hi to Dan, see how you're going.
If we all scream Dan, I don't know how to get in touch with him.
Dan.
Dan! No.
I had some quite funny debates on your channel the other day, actually.
Did you? When?
With Paul and who else was it? There were a few people on all at the same time. It was Pat and
yeah. When Ralph was there, innit?
When Ralph was in it, I watched it on Analyze Dunyan's channel. It was very funny. I was rolling around on the floor, actually.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm trying to encourage different variety of people to come in it, but just a thingy. It's not like like Muslims. We don't hate people. We don't think people. We just want to have a chat with them, innit? But it's when you have that environment. You need to have that environment, don't you?
Yeah, actually have a conversation. It was good. Actually, I enjoyed what I saw. I've never really been over your channel.
I signed into YouTube once, and then I realised you could save videos for later, and then that was basically the end of me, because now I'm up in the hundreds, and there's never physically going to be a time for me to go through all these videos, and it's so frustrating because if they're not under like 10 minutes, I'm like, oh, and it's not even like it's disk space on the computer; it's just literally in the air, in the ether. But I'm like. But I get really attached to them, even though I've not seen them. I'm like, oh, but I can't delete that one. Oh, I can't remove that one from the list because I'm sure it was.
Your playlist yet? You need to separate your playlists.
Yeah, but if somebody deletes their video or puts it on private, then you missed it, then, isn't it?
I know. I see that sometimes when I'm scrolling through. Yeah, it's just a grey screen.
Especially those that delete their streams.
Well, I'm going to start hiding mine, I think. Analyze Dunya as a little thief. He robs all my content.
Well, I wouldn't have necessarily been aware of your channel had it not been for him doing it. And it was a good place. We had a chat and a laugh and a fucking hoot about Ralph. Do you know what I mean? Without him being there going. So
he really does take attention, Ralph. You can tell.
He's got a disorder. I'm sorry, he has some kind of psychological disorder where he thinks he's the fucking queen of the beast.
He loves the attention and everybody gives it to him. And I just sit back and I think, like, don't they realise that he's caught in this sort of control?
Oh, he loves it, yeah.
Exactly.
The good thing is,
he's very shy.
When you go on my channel, like I can have more than 10 people on. So literally everybody jumped on. Like I could have like up to 50 people on the thing, on the meets thing.
Oh, you're using meets? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm using meets in it, and then like literally you can have as many people as you want. And when certain people come on, everyone just jumps on. It's actually, some people just jump on just to hear because it sounds better on meets than YouTube. It's clearer on meets, you see. So
I think I used to listen to some on YouTube, and then when I realised that they were on Google or the other like different, the Hangouts or the Meetup or the whatever it is, you notice that if you just put it on speaker, the sound quality is just so much better. Because sometimes on YouTube I've got to hold it right to my ear as if I'm listening to it on the phone. Like I just can't hear it. And then you switch to that and you're like, oh my gosh, everyone's shouting.
You still have to restream with OBS or something, don't you?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm talking at Faz. If I could.
Not OBS. No.
How do you connect meets? Okay. Oh, does it just okay? Because
big up to me for introducing StreamYard to the whole Hangouts community, because I was the first one to use StreamYard.
Yeah, because my computer's so old that even when I'm using Chrome, I can't share audio.
Yeah, that wouldn't open in Chrome for me, or it wouldn't open in one of the
browsers. I can't, because I'm on Mavericks and I've got such an old version of Chrome that I need to update to the next version in order to share audio.
Is there a HUD on a wheel in the back of it?
What on Meet?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's the same on Meets because it might go straight through. But certainly, if I want to share audio from my computer, it will not let me share audio from my operating system. Because it's so old. It's a bit annoying. I was trying to work out a way to panels.
Sometimes they're quite charming, though. Like having an older, you get used to. I don't know. I resist updates quite often, not all the time, but often I'm justified or vindicated because a month later it will say, oh, horrendous problems with this update, so they've removed it, like Windows 10.
Yeah, I don't update until software stops working.
Basically until someone comes and knocks on the door and says, listen, it's just you. Yeah.
I make music, so I kind of like,
As I'm going to do one, I just thought I'd come and say a quick hi. See Jan, but he's not here.
All right, I'm going to have to get off soon because
me too.
This bottle of wine's looking a bit empty for my liking. I was supposed to be, I've had such a weird day. Like they say things that come in threes, but I stopped counting after a while. I was just like, oh, please let this day hurry up and finish. Like just oddly, just a load of things happened at once that were all rectifiable, but just, when you're not planning on it. I had like assignments to do and stuff to be getting on with, and then the whole day. And then obviously I decided to chat nonsense for 3 hours or whatever it is.
Yeah. What's your internet usage?
No, I haven't. I've got unlimited. Not that I'm advertising any certain provider, but I don't know how people have that 15 gig thing or 20.
I'm talking for mental health more than for.
Oh, I see. Well, apparently, Maureen Lipman told me once it's good to talk. That's what I heard, and I completely believed it because it was on the TV, so it must be true.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you want to infer about my mental health from that, but BT, bless them.
But I mean, everyone kind of just like if they're not on panels, they're on Discord and arguing. It's a constant thing.
It's maybe once a week. A friend of mine, Baird, sends me links every now and then if it's something that I'm kind of potentially into. I quite like Dan's voice, even though he's abandoned us and I've got issues now. But he's got one of those Radio 2, like I don't know, like that kind of Saturday afternoon. And here's one from the Bee Gees.
He's got like that bass in his voice.
Yeah, he's just got a radio voice. When I first heard him, I didn't know what I was listening to. I just thought it was a regular radio station and some nutters had phoned in. Like
the way that he moderates some of the nutters that come on there.
the non-moderation, you mean? The guys?
Well, sometimes he can't do it all the time, but I mean, like when he does, it's a fucking hard job, not sharing anything.
Yeah, I've done moderating in the comments. That's kind of quite fast-paced if there's a load of people, because often, like the ones that are held for review, you have to just scan read them for any like why it's been held.
I'm a machine, I tell you.
Like, oh, go on, then I'll let that one through.
I'm a machine. Are you being a cunt? You're gone.
I let them for the most.
As long as it's just not abuse. Do you know what I mean? Anything.
Yeah. Well, it's just certain. This is what I was trying to say to somebody the other day. There are like people like Jacob Rees-Mogg.
Yeah.
He can insult so beautifully.
Oh, yeah, if it's creative. And
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
No comfort, no vulgarity, and yet the person knows they're insulted, stays insulted.
Effectively insulted. Doesn't speak again. And then that's an effective insult.
Don't even realise that he said it, and that's even funnier for me. Like, because I don't think he's got any malice, but like David Dimbleby, like basically brought up the fact that he was at Eton, like, you know, as a sort of derogatory kind of aside, and he was like, yeah, I was there with your son, and the whole studio was just like, couldn't believe, you know, like the double standard. But that's one of his poorer ones. But he's just, yeah, so linguistically people can be insulted without even knowing, and it can be said in the most pleasant tones as well. Like, so this thing of outright, you're a C word, a UF in this, and I just think, like, is there a teacher coming along? Like, are we all actually 12? And it's, you know.
Yeah, people, I don't know. It has its pluses and its negatives. It's good for communication when it's used for that, but you get so much just fucking.
There's the other
me.
Well, some of the accusations that I've heard going around, like, I ignore any about myself because I just know they're not true anyway. So,
oh man, once you step out of line,
this thing about oh well, I don't even want to mention names, but I've heard people be labelled as sex offenders, paedophiles.
I'm everything at the moment. I'm getting because I've dared speak out against Ralph. I'm Philadelphia Psy, which is an AIDS joke, which is then being repeated as Simon spreads HIV.
How charming!
It's lovely, isn't it?
How well thought out. I'm sure somebody was up all night thinking the nuance.
What a complex nuance.
The innate genius behind that. I think that's
crippled.
My
intellectual capacity, I'll never recover.
This is it. I mean, I don't think you'll ever hope to reach those lofty heights of intellect yourself, and that's probably the biggest stinger.
It is, yeah. That's why it hurts so much. Yeah.
But the other thing is, some of them are libelous in as much as, or not even legally. It's just that there's the potential for physical ramifications. So if someone harded enough to believe an accusation that's baseless or potentially baseless even, like, and then could go and find the person, like, I just hate the thought of it, like that, because it's bullying, pure and simple. But at least in the pub or the street, you've got the chance to, whilst the accuser's there, you've got the chance to defend yourself at least, which is the same as the legal system. Whereas online, people can make a channel, say what they're saying, delete the channel, but it's still out there. Like, it's still someone will.
Yeah, that's the thing with Ralph. He deletes everything as he. We're offline now, which is good.
Yeah. Bye, Dan. See you then, mate.
See you later.
Lots of love.
He's pretty knackered, poor dude.
It's the online element that I find worrying, because people like that Sheikh Faisal, that advocacy, all those people had previous instances of online rhetoric. And I don't mean it to be policed, like, because I genuinely think people should say their old nonsense and be, like, torn down by people of a better morality or standard of language, even. Like, just get a grip. If you can't defend your position, don't talk shit, basically.
The whole Dower team just ejected Paul Williams.
Well, Mr. X, now that we're offline, I can say it. Mr. X was accused of being a paedophile.
I know, yeah.
By Maku, of all people. And Maku's the guy. Let's have it right.
He threatened to set fire to me last day. He threatened to set fire to my shoes.
You know what he said on camera and defended it? And this. I don't. You're not Christian, are you? Or are you?
No, but I'm not against.
He said that all. Hang on, let me get it the right way around. All churches used to be mosques, without a doubt. And Bob said to him, "What about the ones before Muhammad?" He's like, "Yep, those as well."
All churches where?
All churches everywhere, everywhere, including the Baptist church on Hackney Road that was built in the 70s. All churches used to be mosques. And Bob was like, what about the 3rd century basilica in such as, 300 years before Muhammad? And he was like, yeah, that as well. Because he dug himself in and he doubled down and he couldn't And then in the end, Bob said, I can't carry on. Like, I'm having a conversation with a grown man who cannot grasp the concept.
Matthew literally believes that mixed race kids are scatty. That's his.
Oh, what?
Scatty. He believes.
As in a bit silly?
Because of the conflict in black and white DNA. So
he believes in that genetic. Who was it saying black people were less?
Yeah, he's as much bell curve. Well, I don't know if it's exactly the same, but he's as much along that bell curvy kind of bell end curve as I'm starting.
Well, bell end is
bell end curve.
He thinks he's a Muslim, and yet he actually thinks he's a. Well, he changes depending on which week it is and how cold it is and how quickly he wants to get away from me. But he's an Ansari, apparently, even though there were Muslims around him going, no, you ain't. It's like the Israelites who go, we're the real Jews when you go.
Black Israelites.
No, you ain't. Yeah, so it's a sect of Islam that I think followed Isa, which is their bullshit version of Jesus. So then they sort of try and be a bit matey with Christians because they're like, I'm even the Isaites, as it were. I'm saying to them, but you're not Christian because you believe that he didn't die, and like there's some fundamental differences that are never going to be resolved apart from eventually everything will be resolved and we'll all die. But I don't, and apparently Respect, now I'm getting really gossipy now, but apparently Respect now, he said the Shahada after shaving his locks off, obviously last year. And he's now,
it would make sense. I've suspected he's Muslim for a while,
but everybody has. But apparently, it's because of this girlfriend who's supposed to have done some sort of. Well, I think some like gay guys probably enjoy quite a bit, but straight guys are meant to be quite averse to it. He's meant to have inserted. Whatever. Like there's something going on there, and because she's Muslim. He's Muslim or some absolute twaddle.
I don't want to not get on with Aspect, but I don't. I jumped some lines down for the first time.
I've spoken to him twice, and I just couldn't pin him down theologically, and I worry about people like that because, for me personally, like when I wasn't religious, when I would stand up for literally anybody and anything and any morality and any crime because I was like they're clearly misunderstood, they've had some problems in their childhood, blah blah blah. I was a complete and utter lefty. And I just think that, and I used to think even at the time, if I genuinely believed in a God who loved me, I'd be on fire, as it were. I'd be trying to convince people of the truth of this God. Like, I wouldn't just be like, bang a tambourine on a Sunday and then get on with your kind of decadent nonsense. Like, so for him, he sounded Christian. He sounded a little bit kind of West Indian, maybe oneness, Pentecostal. I don't know, like he threw in a load of stuff, but then he wouldn't hear anybody say anything against Islam. And I was like, but Islam is fundamentally saying something against your God. Like, and I couldn't, another thing about shaving his locks off in secret. I was like, who cares?
And then Real milking that for drama on the drama channel. That channel, have you been on that channel in the mornings? It's like no one slept. They've all been up all night.
Anymore because people like Waleed, like in person, he's lovely. He really is such a sweetie.
I've never actually met him. I was like, I'm Raj's.
Do you come to the park? Have I met you?
I don't think we've met. I come to the park, but I haven't. I came to the first time when Steve gave his anti.
I love Steve. You see, Steve.
Steve's my mate.
Atheist as a first name, I just think that. No, I'm joking. He's so funny though. He's one of
the most reasonable people. He is reasonable.
He's very genial. He's very.
He was the second person the first person I introduced myself to was Steve Barnes, and I said, "Is it true you're a druid?"
He's the head of the pagan Metropolitan Police Pagan Society.
Yeah, and then Steve was the second person, because I actually didn't know any of the characters. I hadn't seen any of the. The only one I had seen was a bit with Steve saying he was a druid.
Do you come down there like regularly or just sporadically?
I went down with Tan a lot. Well, I didn't go down with Tan. I went down there just after Tommy Robinson had gone inside, and I didn't know
this last time you went.
Yeah, the for the big last free Tommy thing. But not this last, sort of the one before, I think it was. And I didn't know. I was just wandering on a walk, and I was heading through Hyde Park, and my mate phoned me and said, "Oh, you know, Sargon of Akkad's going to be down there speaking today."
I can't think of his name.
Carl, yeah. And I kind of thought, oh, I'll take a wander through here. And so it just happened sort of by mistake. And Tam was away in France, and so I didn't know anything about any of that. And then I got to film in Tam quite a lot because he was wandering around in an Allery's Gay t-shirt and being like a not that camp. And I was like, I was getting some brilliant reactions.
You know, if I wasn't Christian, I seriously considered his little religion just for the front of that he had. I was like, oh, I want to support him, but I don't believe it's all nonsense. But I looked at the website and I was quite impressed, really.
Yeah, but the thing is, he puts his whole life on there, and he's got me. I've just put an online website on there for him on the
How is he?
page.
Does anybody know? Like, is he still online?
Yeah, he's online, and this is all. I spoke to him 2 days ago.
Has he got a website that I could have a look at? Or
it's tango.church. Just whack it in the Google.
He's still in that tango thing. Oh,
well, he's rebranded it with a pie sign instead of the.
Was it? I can't remember what
swastika.
It was.
It was a swastika, but
was it? No, when I looked, I think it was. It was something.
It was a Buddhist swastika for ages.
It was something.
And now it's now it's the pie symbol. Oh, it was a flower of life for a little while.
Yeah.
But he's completely obsessed with Lucy still.
Oh gosh. Even did he see that? I wonder, like, if you speak to him, I mean, maybe you've gone over it with him, but did he see the BBC footage that she obtained of that guy, you know, trying to imply that Tommy Robinson had sexually assaulted her or propositioned her? You know, the BBC guy.
Oh, Sweeney.
Yeah, I don't know who. Yeah, some sort of chubby-ish guy with a beard.
Yeah, Sweeney.
But, yeah, because she came out of it looking all right after she looked quite poor to me. Like, if you're with somebody,
I don't trust her anymore, I have to say, because that bit of footage that she mentioned to John Sweeney, where she said, "Oh, I've got some footage of me having an argument with Tommy Robinson. It's not very dignified." It's on the start of one of our Washed videos, and it's quite genuine. You can hear it, and she's saying, "You were off your face on coke for 2 days, and we organised that whole event, Day for Freedom. You silly little man," and you can hear him getting into his car and fucking off quickly. And she's given that to somebody.
I don't think I've ever heard him say anything that I massively disagree with. Like, I haven't spent time studying him because I'm more like
Tommy
studying, Islam. But for what it's worth, like, my opinion's worth fuck all, really, even in my own house.
Nah.
I think that the government made a mistake in martyring him and actively trying to have him battered in prison. Like, it's, even if it was just an individual guard who thought, oh, I'll have a laugh, I'll just lock him in with it. Like, he's got kids, and then you see the footage of him being like stalked by police when he's just out on it, and you think, like, even though it can be you know, misrepresented in that you can only see videos where he comes out looking victimized or coming out off well, I still think that, like, it's just outrageous to be put in prison for a mortgage thingy that came to light after years and have Osman mornings.
But the thing is, he obviously does do really dodgy shit, I have to say, because he's small fry now. Mark Collette is sweeping up all the litter.
He's that northernish kind of very pale.
Leeds, big nurse, yeah. He's sweeping up all the litter and making all the SIF nats into F nats and making them more kind extreme.
Of intellectual sounding approach, if that makes sense.
Sounds like a children's presenter. Yeah, he presents all very. Yeah,
but he has his voice, regardless of what he's actually saying, you can believe him to be reasonable because he's kind of.
The thing is, he's far more extreme. He tried to kill Nick Griffin.
That's what I'm saying. It sounds palatable if you don't pay attention to the content, if that makes sense. Like, he's not likely to go off in a fit of temper. Tommy was more emotively driven kind of thing.
Yeah, he would rant.
Yeah, exactly. And fair enough. If I kept getting fucking, excuse my language, like nicked every 33 seconds for just sitting in my house doing nothing, and I've got nutters knocking on my door trying to get my wife on camera and do you know, like, you can imagine anyone with even the most patience would just think like, and to still be trying to do something. I mean, obviously he couldn't get any other sort of job because of his criminal record, but I don't think half of that's deserved. I used to work between you and I in like criminal justice, and they're just, the treatment of him is,
yeah. I mean, I
motivated that it's obscene.
I could see that, and he's. I think he's just the worst person for the job. He shoots himself in the foot.
Yes.
He doesn't manage his shit properly. Where he gets minions to unbook people when higher ups tell him who he can and can't have.
Mm-hmm.
He is a shit manager. What he do you know what I mean? He's kind of.
He reminds me a little bit of, like, I come from a working class, like a literal council estate, and he just reminds me of one of the boys around the flats. Like, just.
Well, that's why it appeals to
Don't
people,
give him too much responsibility, because he's going to the pub on Friday night. So, like,
yeah,
don't spread out the
for an early morning shift on the weekend.
Exactly. No heavy lifting on a Saturday, please, and a couple of pints, like, for the gentleman. Like, it's just, and it seems to have been thrust upon him, even though he made a big fuss. I think I'm sad to say that I didn't. Like, I come from East London, and certain areas, I drove through one today, and it's like I'm not racist. I've got a mixed-race daughter. Not that I have to say that, but it's like a Star Wars convention in Tower Hamlets in some places. Like, it just, the amount of niqabs.
The first place I lived was Aldgate East, and it was kind of like that when I first moved there. And my literal first experience of racism was these Pakistani lads spitting on the floor at my feet in my path. And
yeah, they're probably Bengali, to be fair.
I realised it was happening, so I didn't realise at first. I thought, why that? Oh, it's happening all the time. They're spitting them. Oh, it's directed at me. It's not spitting on me. I didn't really realise what it was for a while. I was like, oh, right.
And that's the thing. I grew up, when I grew up in East London, there were, I think, 2 Bengali kids in my class when I was in the infants, and I just didn't think any. I was, weirdly enough, until I was about 5, I knew racist language and I accepted it because I didn't really know what it meant. And then I had a Nigerian friend, and my dad came to collect me from school, and he said, "What are you playing with a nigger for?"
No.
And it just, no, I know. My dad was a charmer in those days. But he mellowed.
I'm not racist, but
no, that's what. No, but my dad had a genuine point. He said, "I'm not racist. I don't like anyone. Like, I don't like black, white people either." Like, he's just like, I really don't like people or humans. So, but once he said it, the penny kind of dropped, and then I thought, oh, that's what it means, because we used to say, like, go to the packy shop, or, you know, just whatever was it. In those days, it was puff. Like, do you remember the 70s? Like, the 80s? There was no
73. I was born.
Yeah, so the TV was, you know, that Love Thy Neighbour and those kind of shows.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it was, what's the word? It was just a thing. Like, I don't think there was any malice there. It was just like a rising damp.
Rising damp
guy.
Yeah, exactly. Mind your language.
Yeah,
that would never happen.
Exactly, because we went so far the other way, whereas everyone has to be wrapped in cotton wool. And the fact is,
Little Britain wouldn't happen now.
Yeah, no, but that, to my mind, like, even people of my grandparents' generation, they must have, like, definitely after the Second World War. I mean, they were exposed to propaganda against the Germans, the Japanese. They weren't really aware of West Indians, in as much as it hadn't quite happened yet. My mum tells me that when she first saw a black person, she genuinely, and she's the most loving soul you'll ever meet, she thought they were made of something different, like chocolate, or she couldn't work it out, but she just thought there was some, like, it was painted on, or I don't know. But so to come from that era where there was, like, corporal punishment in schools, there was capital punishment within the criminal justice system, there was proper discipline, as it were. My granddad used to get the cane every day because he had to help his dad pack up from work and then go to school. Like, but they didn't come out the worse for it. So by today's standards, if you don't mollycoddle and give everybody a safe space and let them express their feelings and all of this shit, apparently you're abusing them. Whereas that generation turned out to be completely upstanding. Like, my nan, I don't think they just won't make people like that anymore. Once her generation's gone, I don't think I could ever live up to that kind of stamina or, you know.
God, my nan was like a machine.
Exactly.
She was
They
stamping
get up at
around.
6.
Yeah. Half 5, 6 o'clock, stamp around twice a day. Dum, 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 dum. You know, walk a mile. It's just like, fucking hell,
This is it.
you're
I mean,
woman.
when my granddad was nearly 90, when he was dying, like, they'd been married for 60-something years, and she would say to him, but you're still tormenting me. Like, why don't you just give me 5? Like, and he was like a child, like, in as much as he never really grew up because he didn't have to. He went straight from his mum into work, into the marriage, and then got his dinner put on the table regularly. It didn't matter if there's a world war or not. Like, the dinner's there, the evening TV, the newspapers there, the Evening Standard, the late night racing edition, when they, you know, like, just this sort of familiarity and comfort that nowadays, like, marriage isn't, even gay marriage, it's not valued. It's just a piece of paper, and you might get to take them to court if they divorce you.
And it's, if someone dies, it just makes clear who the house goes to. That's really what.
I never forget when they were proposing gay marriage. To be honest, I'm Christian now, so I'm kind of, it's not in the Bible, as it were. But someone said, well, I think they've got just as much right to be as miserable as the rest of us.
Exactly. That's one of the quotes, isn't it?
I don't even give a shit if you want to go through.
It's one of the quotes, isn't it? I mean, I personally don't see the fight for a church marriage. Do you know what I mean? And the only reason I would do it,
like, if you want to do it in a registry office,
do it in a registry office. I think.
Yeah, but of course, it's the same as this, like, people who want a gay celebration cake or something like that.
How is it gay? Is it made out of dick?
Yeah, just go to Tesco's and buy the little marzipan shit yourself. Like, don't. It's like going to a Mormon and saying, "Can you do me a picture of a TV and a fucking stripper?"
Exactly. Like, I was just saying that. Why would you not just don't tell me there is not a gay fucking cake maker with flamboyant,
with unicorn shitting fucking
exactly flamboyant icing skills. They will put you you, your husband, and a huge
17 tiers with a spotlight entrance
with a dick on the top. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And they won't be offended. They won't be offended. And you're going to go to a fundamental Christian and say, I want Harry and George on this cat. You know, why do that?
So
it's
even
a statement.
Gay men and women get pushed out. And this is my kind of, because I've grown up where it just didn't fucking matter when every now and again there was some sort of.
Oh, did you know? But generally, normal people are quite.
Well, they
don't give a fuck.
Women for me. Most men just think, oh, fucking crack on. There's more of a man there for me to sniff around. Like, they're not.
Exactly.
I think less competition. But then it became, so it went from LG.
There's PP there's a plus and some P's at the end.
And then the T's. That's when it all, for me, I just thought these poor lesbians.
The T's have taken over.
Exactly. And then it's going to be the P's. I'm not being funny, but paedophiles are going to get lumped in with everyone who's got any sort of deviant.
People have started doing that. People have started trying to add it to at least say that it is being added to the pride flag. And literally, I'm reading comments.
Plus, and a question mark maybe, and there was a few letters that I just thought I've stopped counting. I don't even know who these people are anymore. The gender neutral, queer, binary, something.
And the thing is, people expect, like me, as one, to know, and I'm like, I didn't get the memo. I don't know what this. I don't know what this shit is.
List?
Hey,
are you not on the gay memo?
No, I don't get the memo.
Who are you?
I'm just as confused as everybody else. I'm like, what is this? Do you know what I mean? It's like.
But that's the thing, because it gets, and it's. I just had a vision of like these hairy-legged, comfortable shoe women, like crocheting and a bit of stamp licking, thinking, what's going on? Who are these big sequined fucking heifers? They're like sailors. They've got the cheek to have the big tattoos and then moustache and everything, but a tutu, and everyone's got to accept that their name's Doris all of a sudden. Yeah, you just like,
it's when they don't make effort that it does my head in. It's like, okay, if you look, I mean, right or wrong with hormone blockers, I have to say the problem is you've got Sophia Lewis, who's the most convincing looking trans I've ever come across.
Pretty boy.
She's really gorgeous, and it's
Yeah.
because she took puberty blockers. It's because she never went through puberty. That's why she's so authentic. So that's the argument.
Yeah.
Do you know
Tommy
what I mean?
Tommy did an interview with, look at me, first name basis now, but Robinson
Yeah.
did an interview with, I can't remember her name, but she was transgender, or he. I got to get out of that habit of going along with it.
Von Glow.
Yeah, probably. I think she was like Hungarian, or English wasn't her first language, but I think he'd moved here and then had the assignment, or whatever way around it was. But
I don't know if I've seen that one, actually.
Yeah, you just Google it. He made a point of asking him, her / it, whatever, questions about it. So it wasn't like, because it wasn't until halfway through, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, she's just very pretty. I don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah.
Was quite pretty. But then there's these other guys, and bless them, if they've got that mental illness, crack on, good luck to you and all that shit. But they're not even pretty men.
It's when they don't shave and shit, and they haven't bothered to put a frock on, and then
I had a friend.
Someone calls them a bloke, and they get offended. It's like, but you haven't put the effort in.
Do you know a guy? There's an American YouTuber called Steven Crowder, and he does these things. Change my mind. Yeah. So he picks quite contentious topics. Rape culture is a myth. Change my mind. This, that, that. And so it was gender is some transgender, whatever it was. And this dude, he was a bloke, a pig in a wig. Yeah.
Is it a black dude? I saw it.
And I was like, this dude is so aggressive that even women, I think they're just cowed into going along with it. Like, yeah, he's a woman. Like, because
trannies can be really aggressive. I know one we used to call Tranny DeVito, who did karate, and he used to.
That's brilliant. That's such a gay moniker. Brilliant.
He used to go to the most dodgy, and again, he was one that you get these different breeds. Ones, even if they're not transsexual, like Sophia Lewis, they look good. Do you know what I mean? But you get this other breed that look like they put the makeup on in the dark, and they're wearing a wrinkly, too small Laura Ashley dress, and they look like a car crash. And he was one of those. And he'd go and sit in like East End cafes and like dodgy little side pubs and wait for someone to go, "Here, you a fucking fag," and then kick the fuck out of them. And he was literally going out baiting, waiting. And I'm like, you're no different from
the other lot. Yeah.
From the other lot. It's like you're waiting.
There's a man I know, he's Greek. He wasn't bad looking as a man, to be fair. And then he had the full-blown assignment, and he had a tit job. He had everything done. I'm sure he's got a designer vagina and all that stuff. But I'm not joking. When I see his stuff on WhatsApp, like he changes his profile thingy, like, he's fucking stunning. I'm like, I wouldn't want to be in a wet T-shirt competition. Like, he's got lovely boobs and everything's all in the right places. And that's my sort, apart from the morality and God, blah, 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 apart from that, just socially, I think it's false advertising. You know, like, someone's going to get sued for having like a 10-year relationship with a woman.
Yeah, well, that is the thing.
Because they've got the same bone density. There's MMA fighters, I can't remember his name. I don't even know if he's had there's assignment surgery, but he's just battering the fuck out of women, competing as a woman. And everyone's clapping, like this little cricket clap, like, oh, jolly well done. Like, you think, oh,
well done, that man.
It's just literally a geezer going about battering women. And anywhere else in the world, apart from like Islamic countries, they'd be like, oh, will someone find a fucking police? But he's like,
that's going to be
Bruce Jenner of MMA. And even Bruce Jenner was Sportswoman of the Year when he had testicles. You're like, if the world just literally, if I just took some effort that no one informed me of.
The world has, it's just inversed, it's on its head.
It's mental. And it says in the Bible, not to get all bashy, as it were, but it does say there will come a time when, like, good will be evil, up will be down, black will be white.
Does it really? Maybe I'll start taking more notice, because that's what's happening.
Lord.
My surname actually is Lord.
No, even the Pope came out, and I know it doesn't define you, and I literally have had 4 glasses of wine, but the Pope came out and said homosexuality, not that I give 2 fucks what the Pope says, because he's a wrong un. A lot of Christians would agree with him because he's available to them, that if you're gay, it's actually all right. And I was thinking, no, God, don't say that. But he's getting on with it, the nutter. He said, as long as you're not doing anything about it, which is deep down.
But so did the Church of England. The Church of England have just issued the same pastoral advice.
Did you see Justin Welby? He came out and said they're deeply institutionally racist. And I was like, what you covering, Justin?
Racist?
Yeah, what's going on? Because in the picture, he had 2 African bishops behind him. And I was like,
he likes the BBD.
Yeah, because he's the guy who they did that, like,
BBC.
who do you think you are thing. And it turns out his dad ain't his dad. And he's a bit of a, like, love child, as it were. Who cares? It's nothing to do with him being like, it doesn't matter. But he's had that sort of controversy already in his life. And then he wants to come out with, but you know why? I'm guarantee you it's this Meghan Markle nonsense. Because I think we should be racist to her because she's fucking American. Don't worry about what.
Yeah, I'm like that.
Right. Exactly.
The minute I hear a North American accent, I'm like, oh, God.
Yeah.
I don't care whether you're black or white.
My nieces, bless them, ended up America because of my sister. And I think when they're old enough, I'm going to have to sit them down and just let them know what she's done to them. Because they've got this nasal sort of New York twang.
Oh, yeah, that bloke that's on here, I can't bear him. You know, the one with the hover hummingbird icon. Liv. He's like, you're all fucking sissies. You're all fucking.
Coach goose stepping motherfuckers. Yeah.
I've had massive ding dongs with him offline on chats like this where it's gone offline, and I've dipped in to try and have a word whilst they're offline. And he's been like, "Shut up, you fucking faggot." And I'm like, "Fuck off, yank."
Like, if I speak to him calmly, he seems quite sweet, but he seems very like, I don't know that I know a bit about American politics, enough to make me probably more informed than most Americans, I imagine. But that's arrogance as well. But they've got like, this narrative that Trump pre-election was universally hated when he was celebrated in their country.
They loved him right up until the point he was president. Right up to the point he was president, he was everywhere.
Goose stepping, orange motherfucker, blah blah blah. Nothing about Clinton being a rapist or Hillary Clinton defending rapists and getting them.
Or being some dodgy fucking vampire. Whatever she is.
Was it Iran? She said, Afghanistan. We came, we saw, he died. And then she's like laughing.
I mean, I've heard there's something else. I've heard other stuff. I've heard laughing over something. What was it? It was something really horrific. It was something really horrific.
They had someone assassinated, and she was laughing about that. Some top political Middle Eastern. I don't know.
I can't remember what it was now. It was something awful. And the thing is, I take so little interest. You know, and you kind of think, oh, so given a choice between evil Hillary and Trump, who else would you fucking vote for?
Listen, the fact that he's such a brilliant, obviously he blows his own trumpet. I mean, it's a part of American culture anyway, and entrepreneurs, they've got to.
I mean, I just looked and thought, she's an evil bastard. She's like the left.
Oh, really? She's literally like fucking Gollum.
It took me a while to work. She was the left. I was like, oh God, I thought she was the bad.
Exactly. That's what left. For ages, until I watched West Wing, believe it or not. I watched it. Who was who? I'd be like, but who's the conservative? Like, who's the real life? Like, who's the fucking nutter and who's the like centrist? Or just give me a clue. Anyone, like someone tell, because they also have that D in brackets R. So sometimes it's Democrat from fucking Rhode Island, and then other times it's a Republican from somewhere that begins with a D, and you're just like, who the fuck are these people? Why do they all sound the same? But did you see Brett Kavanaugh? No. All of that show trial. He was appointed to the Supreme Court because he was a Catholic, I believe, and I'm not Catholic, but he was Christian, and they were terrified that he would repeal Roe v. Wade, which was basically saying that it's a really weird legislation. It's about abortion, but it says that something about the potential for human life, as if there's any fetus in a woman that's not potentially a human. Like, you're like, what do you mean? Is it a cat? Like, that's it. It's not class.
Yeah, I mean, I never used to have an opinion on it, you know, because obviously I wouldn't. And I used to think, obviously a woman should have the right to choose, and obviously she should, if there's been any kind of sexual assault and blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't until I realised that people were having abortions up until it was almost fucking out of the womb.
Well, in New York at the moment, Trump vetoed it, even though he's an evil tiki torch goose stepping motherfucker. He put the blockers on it, but they basically wangled it so that up to 9 months on election, no physical abnormalities, no mental health problems for the mother.
Up to 9 months.
Up to 9 months, and then one sudden day on YouTube, the Senate hearing. So they were questioning the woman proposing the bill for late-term abortion, is what they call it, but it's literally murder.
It's literally murder.
Yeah, he said, well, what if...
Because babies survive out of the womb at like fucking...
Exactly.
How many weeks?
6 or 7 months for sure, and pre that, like, incubator and oxygen. Yeah. He said to the woman, so what happened... no, she asked him, what happens if the woman changes her mind during labour? And he said, it was so chilling, he said, well, we'd make the baby comfortable, baby, but we'd make the child comfortable, and then we'd have the tough conversation. And I was like, so you're literally talking about smothering a kid, like, and they've done Undercover. Crowder did it, where he sent his wife pretending to be pregnant into Planned Parenthood. They're fucking atrocious. They sell body parts, baby parts. They family planning, but they were founded by Margaret Sanger, who was a eugenicist who literally believed that black people were inferior. So you get this thing in America even today where the amount of black children that are aborted is the equivalent of a Holocaust, I think, every year or every, I don't know, maybe 5 years, whatever it is. But nobody says anything because of the woman's right to determine. And it's fair enough if you're raped or there's incest, or, you know, it's a shame. Like, it's not hoped for. But at the same time, I don't know what the answer is. Like, I'm not averse to rape victims, you know, wanting their life back and not having to deal with the emotional trauma of further implications. But at the same time, no, like, if it's a viable baby, for sure. I mean, as a Christian, it's got to be any baby from conception. But just me, like, I would be willing to accept viable, definitely hands off. Like, no way, if it could breathe for a straw underwater, I don't know where. But they go on about postcode stuff with the health system in America. They're like, well, they don't have incubators for free in Alabama or whatever bullshit. And you think it's literally babies, and they, and then they pretend they're like, oh, but we do save people from STDs, and you're like, really?
Great.
Like, yeah, encore, please. Kill another few thousand black kids. That's the thing with liberal, like proper libtards, as it were.
Yeah.
If you mention how many black kids are being aborted, then you see that it's like they're like little robots. They're like, oh, I've got 2 victim groups. There's women, and then there's, oh no, black people in general who almost must be defended, even if they're like Pol Pot or Idi Amin. Like,
they're worse, aren't they? They start defending like the person can't.
If you Google it, it's so shocking. I didn't know. I'd heard Bob like reeling off countries where Christians are persecuted.
Christians being murdered. Yeah,
there was a pastor who did his hostage video, and it was so impressive. He did basically, he was evangelizing. He knew he wasn't getting saved. He wasn't going along with their narrative, this IS, like African IS, but he evangelized. He said, like, you know, I don't want you to hate them. I'm for my family, this, that, the other. And then, so I Googled it because I wanted to send it to somebody else. And I'm not joking, just reams and reams of Google results came back because I just put in something like Nigerian pastor executed. And it was
came up with fucking hundreds.
I swear to God, I've never said, like, and you would never know. If you just considered the BBC trustworthy, you'd be like, what? When was this all fucking happening? Like, no one's told me. Like, I just live quite close to Hackney. Like, there's loads of Nigerians. Like, no one's going, oh, well, do you fancy knowing about this? Or North Korea or China, where they're killing Muslims? Well, we all know about the Muslim internment camps, but the churches that are being firebombed, let's not worry. Let's not confuse people. Like,
we get overload. I get overload. Do you know what I mean? For every thing you get about eight different sets of COINTEL
I got like a cynicism overload at one point.
Yeah.
Like I've got a friend who watched Alex Jones, and I was like,
oh
no,
God,
fuck off. I don't care if frogs are gay. They're not actually gay. They're just sort of feminized through their hormones. Like,
I don't get how people are getting so that then oh God. As a
it's because of the scarcity of trustworthy stuff. So the BBC, for sure, as soon as they say anything, I know 100% it's probably bullshit. It's definitely driven by some narrative that deflects attention away from the BBC towards sentimentality and, but weren't the 40s good? Like, I don't know, like some sort of innate, it's not racism, it's just like a denigration of your own core demographic. Like, if you're British, you must be a little bit racist or a little bit colonialist or that sort of supercilious tone that they have, whilst demanding money with menaces from pensioners. You know, you think like,
do you know what,
moral.
I've never paid a BBC. I've never paid a license.
I had them knock on my door once when I was about 19. And I'm not joking, the News at 6 was blaring out.
I haven't got a telly.
Yeah, and I just went, oh, it's a record. And I just shut the door, like, because I couldn't, but I was like, oh my God, how am I going to get out of this one? And I just fucking lied. Well, I wasn't a Christian then, but
these people are like, oh, don't pay your BBC license fee. It's like, I never have. What the fuck are you talking about?
Even now, I've got a TV in front of me in my room, but it's got a cloth over it because I bought it once when I had like it was horrific, like a proper influenza sort of thing. It was for about 5 days. And I just phoned someone. I was like, "Can you buy me a TV?" Because I was just going stir crazy. Like there wasn't that much internet, I don't think, in them times. So they went out and got me it. Like I paid for it. But then I must have watched it not more than 100 times. And even then, after certain events happen, I'm just like, I'll never watch it. Nope. My nan, bless her, that's all she does. From the time after she has her lunch, she watches Judge Judy.
Oh gosh, yeah, my mum. Oh God, the thing she watches, she fills her head with like reality TV. Oh, I can't bear reality TV.
No, but my nan, every now and again, you pop in and she's got the most gory shit, like the murder of Maddie McCann plus Jack the Ripper thrown in for like my nan. Like what's that? What happened to Judge Judy? Like, you know, NCIS, but in real life. Like,
this is a bit hardcore.
I'm making a murderer, things like that, and you're like, nah. And she's like, shh, this is the good bit. This is where we get. And I was just like, oh my gosh, is Catherine Tate like just moved in, like and Tate?
Have you come to see me?
No, this is you come up to see me and stuff. You come up to see me. Like, just,
God, I loved her.
I do. Do you know what? She should make some news.
I wish she'd do something. Yeah, it's been years.
Grandson, she says, don't listen to him. He's a gay boy. You know, just he ain't got a job. Don't worry about him. He ain't got a job. Even indoors, you're sitting there going, Nan, like, chill out, mate. She's just a classic. When she's in the council office and there's a woman in a niqab and she's like, ain't you what in there, love? Oh, I'm fucking boiling. Like, and apparently she's based on a real woman. Catherine Tate said she went when she was in drama school. Half of them went to a primary school and half of them went to an old people's home. She said they'd done the whole like wartime songs and the big little, you know, the dance routine. And she went, after a while, someone went, here, is she going to stand in front of the telly all fucking day? Like, and that was who she based it on another. Because you could just imagine it happening.
Yeah.
That's the shame of it. Like, back to a serious-ish thing, the internet just fucking discriminate. It does. Like, I literally had to, like, I wasn't lying earlier. I had to answer about 20 yes or no questions as to whether my nan could possibly lift a finger to go.
They want it all automated. They want it all automated.
Yeah, but they're doing their own jobs away. I'm like, they'll need support on the phone, but that's like 10 people as opposed to 50 counter staff across the borough. And you're like, do they not see it coming, or they think their pension's going to be good enough, or the payoff they get to, retirement? And you just
Have you got
think,
like council supplied carers and shit?
No, I just do most of it myself. She's so fiercely independent. It's fucking she won't.
They still stay in.
Yeah. She's just like, who's this then? Who's this in my kitchen? Who's this then? What? No, I can't hear. because she's deaf. She takes the hearing aids out.
Oh, God.
But she can hear you say, "Do you want a cup of tea?" from 17 rooms away. But apart from that, she just cocks a complete deaf. And she won't use the walking sticks because they make her look old. And I say, no, your face makes you look old. It's not the walking. But she said, I don't want to get used to it. I said, but you sound like a Tourette's patient. You keep going, oh, like murder, literally. But they won't make no more like her. I mean, thank fuck half the time, but they're just not like that no more, people. I can imagine snowflakes like getting into pensioner age, like they'd just be fucking crying their eyeballs out every 30 seconds because someone's insulted their whatever the fucking fad is at the time.
It's going to get worse. But people, they're more sensitive. Even like sort of going back to the tranny thing earlier on, it's not the older ones, it's the younger ones.
Oh yeah.
There was some weird film, and it's the same with all like even the Islamic extremists, and it's the same I'm noticing with the right wing ones that Ralph's screaming. The younger ones are so much more extreme, and I think
it's like millennials. Like they came along as a sort of knee-jerk thingy against whoever was, the
one before.
It's always the way. Like the fucking rock and roll generation were a backlash against like sort of, I don't know, more conservative, like values and that. So they have to just one-upmanship every about 10, 15 years. Like the music gets more and more fucking outrageous. They have literal killings in music videos or whatever will be
and then
there.
they dox each other about it.
All we're producing is a fucking nation of grasses. All anyone's doing is they're online just calling people out for this, accusing them of that. But be a paedophile next door, like with fucking hostages, but they'd never know because they spend 24 hours a day
online.
Yeah. Basically, they end up with fucking thumbs and massive eyeballs.
It's like Raj. I love Raj. I speak to him all the time.
Oh, bless him. He's good for a laugh, isn't he?
He's good for a laugh. I've got his phone number. You know what I mean? I go on a lot.
Next time you talk to him, there's a guy called Nigel Singh. You can have a look at his YouTube videos. He's obviously he's from up north somewhere. And there's another guy called Serge who used to be in Kane's ambassadors WhatsApp group. So I was in there. So I met Serge, blah, blah, blah. He sends me all these hadiths, like religiously, I would say, but Christian. But, it's useful sometimes, but I'm like, I'd never get through them all. It's the same as YouTube videos. I've got like a stockpile. So anyway, he says to me, oh, there's this guy. He wants to come Speaker's Corner. Can you like chat to him? So I don't like giving my number. And I was like, well, yeah, I'll withhold the number. Just give me his number. Passed him on to me, and I was like, well, seeing as you're Sikh, like, do you want to chat to Raj or anything? Like, maybe, because he was nervous because he's been battered by Muslims wherever he lives. Yeah. He was a bit scared to. He didn't say scared, but I thought, well, I'd be fucking worried. So he said he's going to come down within about 4 to 6 weeks. So I gave him Raj's email, which W. Baird gave to me.
I can just phone Raj. Yeah.
I was like, he probably gets so much fucking spam, hate mail, whatever. But anyway, so the guy, I gave him the email address and I said to him, if you have any drama, like, or want me to sort of, when I see him in person, like push him to answer you, then just let me know. But I haven't heard from him since. But I phoned him and he seemed lovely. Like he wasn't the usual kind of person who chomping at the bit to come and have a scream up at Muslims. He was quite considered in, he knew, he seemed like just a polemicist, but I just didn't like, I was like, oh, I'll meet you for a coffee and we'll go together. But then this Sunday, oh my gosh, this shiffer turned up, this black guy who I've not seen before. He had a white bird with him, a blonde actually, and he went up to, do you know Joseph, who wears the camouflage, the Hebrew Israelite?
Oh yeah, Joseph Cohen.
Oh really? I'm sure that's his first name.
I know. Exactly. Israel Defense League. No, Israel Advocacy Movement.
No, not that Joseph. No. Black Joseph, the Hebrew Israelite, who's an absolute fucking schizo.
Yes.
Yeah. So him, the first time I ever met him, he told me I was a rapist. I was like,
a rapist?
No, that's what I said, only on the weekends. I haven't got the equipment all week.
How'd you do that? I tied him to a chair and injected him with Viagra.
I stole his gold I was like, but I thought you were a slave. What, you telling me you're a thief now? Like, I didn't know slaves had gold to be stolen. And I've cleaned out the cupboards and it's definitely not here. And can you please tell me where and we'll split it? He was going, you fucking bitch, I'll kill you. So this week, he started on this other black guy who said he was an Israelite, but then wouldn't admit to being a Hebrew Israelite.
Oh, God.
And
there is a lot of black supremacy goes on up
it's
there.
ridiculous. He shoved her in the chest, this poor blonde girl, and the
Really?
boyfriend wasn't looking. And then he shoved, you know, Patrick? He's a white guy, Christian, glasses. He's very nice. He comes every now and again. So he pushed him as well because he accidentally touched his arm. He was like trying to calm him down. Like it was only just a, you know, no aggression. But as I was walking out, because it was so cold, I just thought, fuck it, I'm going out. But the old Bill, I just watched for about 10 minutes. The police he was gesticulating wildly to the police, this black Israelite, and this poor little podgy white copper who was about 4 foot nothing was just sort of nodding at him like, oh my gosh, he's actually cool. So I went past him and he was like, well, so what, you're telling me you're not the aggressor? And he was like, I'm telling you, da, 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 da. And then he said, so there was no it didn't get physical. And I went, yeah, it did. Yeah, there was a bit of pushing, a bit of shoving. Wasn't there, Joseph? And just to kill his image, really, like he turned around and he went, why don't you shut up, you white this, that, that. And I just looked at the copper like, there you go. And there's the right stuff. But he's with assaulting people and no, but I just don't know.
Witness said to me the other day that every time I've had so many run-ins with Jedi that I should be an honorary member of a gang because I've literally the last couple I've had 2 screaming fucking arguments with him. The last time I went there, after not going there for 2 years, I nearly got into a fight with him a couple of weeks ago again. And I'm a skinny. Do you know what I mean? He probably smash me, but I don't back down.
You can't, because as soon as you show a bit of weakness, like, the chances are that when people are big, they very rarely have reason to get into physical stuff anyway, because the threat normally deters like sane people. Do you know what I mean? Like, so they're not that good at fighting, they're just good at being big.
Exactly.
But one bit of ammo for you, nothing like juicy, just, you know, his hair in 80s, Barbie the doll,
what in the
there was
what
hair twirl Barbie. She had a little machine where you could put little 2 strands of hair in and click the buttons, and it just made like his alleged dreads, what he's got.
He's still Brady Rich.
I think of hair twirl Barbie.
Well, that's one of the things that he did when when Tam was getting checked out of the park. He bashed Chloe. He bashed this little girl in the back of the head. He kind of kicked her in the legs on the way out of the park, and nothing ever got done about it. And then because I was all friendly with a big, and I've never racist. Maybe just look like fucking little thing. If I said he had a big black nobody complained, do you know what I mean? I'd say everyone focused on the bully, they focus on the black. Do you know what I mean?
That's the thing. Somewhere along the line, like I was saying earlier, victim status became more important than, like, because I've had like this. I don't know how to put it into words, but I've had the feeling that if someone is black and they were to attack you, and then you try to do a mug shot or tell them or whatever it is, you go, all right, can you describe them then? Yeah, it was a black geezer. Like, oh, steady on. Like, you know what I mean? Let's not get racist. And you're like, no, he's actually black. What do you mean?
Well, people are so fucking weird. I used to work with this guy who had like these massive predator dreadlocks, and I walked into the cafe. It's like a proper kind of taxi cafe, and I was like, "Have you seen my mate Mike?" And they're like, "Who's that?" And I was like, "Big black dude, like predator black dreadlocks, red head scarf." And they were like, "Oh, what black dude?" And they were, and it's just like, well, that's what he would call himself.
Do you know, in Sweden, they've got a thing. I'm not joking. They've got a system whereby they're so liberal that rapists, they will not show. They show a blurred out photo of it. Like, it's almost comical, whereby they won't promote the image before the person's convicted, but obviously after they're convicted, the image is fucking useless because it's just a drawing. Like, but they won't they won't give out a description like other than verbally. So you've got a case where you're saying, yeah, black hair, yeah. All right.
Sit down a bit, isn't it?
Bit fat finish, tall, shortish guy. Like, but you can't really like beggars belief. You're like, but they're wanted to answer for a really serious crime, but you're not going to infringe upon their human rights by describing them to me. Like, this is it. You've got a case where fucking prisoners are protesting their human rights are being violated because they haven't got flat screen TV. They've only got like.
Yeah, I mean, my mate, without going into too much detail, my mate is the woman whose kid was, you know, all those tourists that stood up and stopped that guy getting deported to Somalia, and then it turned out that he was a rapist.
Was it a Swedish girl or?
No, it happened in London. She's
it's been replicated because there was a Swedish girl at some point in Sweden. Probably Greta Thunberg.
No, this was one where they were deporting the Somali.
They delayed the flight.
Yes, and they all stood up on the flight.
Oh, maybe I just assumed because they were like a blondish-looking girl. Maybe I assumed it was Europe.
No, well, I know her mum, and she had to. They let him out on a tag, and she had to move out of London.
Yeah.
And they managed to get him into the holding place at Gatwick. The detention centre, which is another reason, Jeremy, why we need detention centres. But he's claiming, he's now claiming that he was.
Like due process was interfered with or something like that, like a technicality.
PTSD. He's now claiming,
shut up. Do me a fucking favour.
Because there was some.
I'll give him fucking trauma. Let's make it current traumatic syndrome disorder. Don't worry about the post. Let's give him a bit of fresh fucking. Do you
know her mum? You know that's you would get on with her with that. Actually,
I would batter the fuck out of my daughter. I'm not. She'd have post-traumatic fucking stress disorder by the time I've been. My daughter's not stupid enough though. I'm not being like she's literally.
Well, this girl, I'm not joking. When I found out the technicalities, she was in the Hippodrome down in central London.
Yeah.
And they injected her Volvic bottle with GHB.
Oh my god!
So they just, you know, I'm quite partial. I'm gay. I'm quite partial to shot GHB for sex, not much, but and I know what it does to you, and it just fucking too much. You just pass out, and they injected the water bottle, and then they carried her all the way from central London on the double-decker bus through Islington,
where there's heavily CCTV, like
4 of them. With no one stopping them, and they took her into a flat and raped her for fucking hours until she came to, until she ran out into the street naked, and he's fucking because
and what an outrage for you to cast aspersions on his good character at this point in the story. How dare you?
Or to mention that he's even Somalian. How dare you say Somalians are back with barbarians, or in fact some are back with barbarians.
He's not a foreigner.
Yeah.
He's not an Indian or a Somali. Oh, for fuck's sake. Do you know, my daughter, I brought her up, like, she's mixed race, but the amount of times, like, the last time it happened, I was shocked, but slightly proud of the sort of East Endiness of it. I was pissing down the rain, and I stopped this Dawa guy. I can't help myself sometimes. I sort of go in like a novice, and then I just slaughter him. Yeah. So he was trying to argue and trying to pack up at the same time. But after about 10 minutes, she was giving me the eyeball, like, "Oh, can you just stop this now?" And then I was like, "Oh, I've got to go." My daughter's like crying her eyeballs out, having a breakdown. I'll speak to her at the time. And as we were crossing the road, I do not give a fuck about a 7th century paedophile. And she hadn't even heard me say any of that. And I was so proud. I was like, "Oh, my baby, she's growing up." She's like 17. I was like, "Oh," apart from the language bit, but even that, I was like, "It's justified. Well done, darling."
What happened to me the last time I went down there was I went down for Steve's speech, and he didn't tell me it was a speech. I said, "Can we meet about all this shit that's going on?" And he said, "Meet me in the pub Sunday morning and have breakfast." And so I met him down there with Kaz. We went in the park, and Steve did his speech, and I went to the pub with Big Kevin and Kaz. Big Kevin is the guy who did the boo thing with Lister the week before.
But you know, that Lister, I've not literally the only thing I've seen. My friend said he's a pirate. I was like, I still don't know who you mean. And then I saw him in person throwing water on Ralph. And I was just like, even if he did it first, I was just like, how pathetic can the pair of them like?
Oh, they're obsessed. They are both of them obsessed with each other. But I can see Ralph does inspire this hate in such a wide
Ralph's
range.
Too clear. Like he's got that Jacob Rees-Mogg thing where he's quite insulting, but he sounds charming if you don't listen to the words, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like he never is visibly riled, really.
I would much rather rather be stuck in a lift listener.
Yeah,
I have to, and that's why, cause sort of being on the right and stuff, because I've been so controversial recently. Me kind of supporting Lister is really fun. Because I'm a friend of Welsh's as well. He phones me up all the time.
Right.
He fucking every time Lister gets a panel, Welsh comes on. I mean, I speak to Welsh. I get on with it.
Was it the Northernish sounding bloke who was on?
No,
or Manchester?
No, he wasn't on tonight as well. He usually jumps on and he just loads everything that Lister stands for. Do you know what I mean? But right. I would rather talk to her. Even if I don't.
You know, I forgot. I was going to apologise to that pirate. I was going to say like, "Oh, sorry if I shouted over you," but then I just got distracted. He does talk absolute shit.
He does though.
And it's all straw man. Like, so you're telling me there's a family of 4 who are in Peckham as we speak? And I'm like, no, I'm not saying that at all. So you're telling me that there's I'm like, no. But can you let me finish slandering you and misrepresenting you? Okay, then. Like, this is so. What a friend of mine actually said, and I lost all respect for him. He got sent to prison for doing this guy with a hammer, and he was in there for quite a long time. And as far as I know, the guy said something to him about inbred something, and he went home, got the hammer. And in my mind, as soon as you leave the pub, hit the fresh air, go home, get the hammer, go back to the pub. It's premeditated already. Like
it's not
anyway, so he did his 6 years or whatever it was. He came out. I saw him. We were having a drink, chatting about whatever it was, globalization, some old like left-wing trigger stuff. So then he went, he tried to imply that he did it for all people of colour. He said that the guy that he hit with a hammer was a white guy. I said, oh, right, already he deserves it then. Like, I was like, so what is it? He said, I just thought there, and this was the exact words, I thought there may be a family, maybe in Hackney. My eyebrows were already halfway off my head, who are sitting at home afraid to look out of the curtains because of men like him. And he was waiting for a pat on the back. I thought, you're talking shit. I said, you've had 6 years and that's what you fucking come up with. I said, do me a favour. You hit him because you had the ump, and that's simple as that. You wanted to fucking crack his skull, and that's what you don't make out you was doing it because you're a Cape Crusader and you were doing it for some one-legged GLC voting fucking black lesbian somewhere. Like, just don't. Like, it's embarrassing. Like, just, you're not getting a job on children's TV anytime soon. Just fucking go with it. Like, it's the way the narrative can be changed. It's just like you've got people literally coming. There was a guy whose daughter was murdered. I think it was Australia by, I don't know if it was an Islamist or just a nutty immigrant. And he came out, and I joke not, if you can look on the internet, within his speech asking for forgiveness for the guy, and he forgave him. And he said something along the lines of, and I really like African food or Malaysian food or wherever the guy was from. He tried to stick the culture, because that's what you hear, like, but they have got nice food. I do like Indian, so I don't mind that it's 93% inch, like when they're actually Bengali. But you're like, he actually said it, and his daughter had been murdered, and I was like, I've heard it all. That's me. I can go.
I can't listen to another human voice for a week.
Now I know why psychopaths are so, like, just, I feel for some people, like, so even some serial killers. I'll read those like criminal psychology books because I'm at university, and I'm just like, yeah, actually, fair point. Yeah.
I read something about the Unibomber the other day that made perfect sense.
Do you know, I watched that show, I don't know if it was Netflix or where, because I unsubscribed after they had the gay Jesus bullshit. But, oh my God.
Really?
But yeah, I watched it, and I was thinking, wow. When I read his manifesto, I was like, yeah, I see what he's saying. Maybe
where you're coming from.
Dramatic fashion, but yeah, I'm going with it. So anyway, what is your name, by the way?
It's Simon.
Simon. Right. What I'll do, It's Kay, by the way.
Hey, nice to meet you.
So next time you come to the park, I'm the one getting shouted at by Muslims. Yeah, come over and introduce yourself. And I've got to get off because I've just seen the time.
I'm the one that's I'm always with Raj or Steve or someone like that. I've got a channel called I Hate It Here. You can find me
I've
that as well.
seen you in the comments, I think, or I've seen your video, or because I don't read comments anymore now that I'm in videos. I'm like, oh, fuck that.
I'm the dark side now because I've called out the collect, but I've always been slightly the dark side because I.
Listen, if you're on the right, by my reckoning, you're in the right fucking area. So I wouldn't.
Exactly. Yeah.
To me, that's the other thing. Before I go
PayPal patriots, so I called Amy out as well quite early on. Yeah. So I became in.
The thing is that most of the right wing, as far as I can work out, and I would say I'm right wing, is defined by the left. So when they're saying what is far right, what is alt right, what is alt double with a twist of mochaccino right, like it's always defined by some fucking lefty anyway. So it's false divisions. Like whether or not you think it's just basically fiscal responsibility and like let people get on with their own fucking life. That's my, obviously until the rapture, Jesus comes. Then you're
so that's liberal to some people. Ralph would call you a liberal for that.
Liberalism, I agree. Like the real life one, the old-fashioned one of just let people get on with it. I'm all right with that. But liberalism is a mental disorder. That's what Savage says. He's brilliant, Michael Savage. He's very funny. But he's banned from Britain as well.
Is he?
Fuck all. Yeah. Him, Geller, Pamela Geller, that's who I was talking about earlier. I couldn't think of her name. Loads of people just for nothing. And you're like, what, have we got so much going on that we can't just fucking let them in? So, anyway, listen, some lovely chat, mate.
Yeah, nice to speak to you.
I'll speak to you soon. All right.
God bless. Good night. You take it easy.
Bye-bye.